Hey everyone, welcome back for another Hump Day lunch break with me, Ivana. And today we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Alexander Shunnarah. And if you are new to Alabama, if you are new to the South and you don't know Mr. Shunnarah, he is an attorney and a business owner, and his headquarters is based here in Birmingham. So today, we are going to talk a little bit about the economy, about if you are a business owner, his advice for getting your business through this time and kind of how to prepare for the economy to bounce back inevitably as it will. Full disclosure to our audience, I'll go ahead and put it at the top. My husband does work for Alexander Shunnarah Personal Injuries Law Firm. Again, today, though, we're not talking about legal issues. We're talking about business, the economy, and also just trying to run an empire during a pandemic. There's a lot to unpack here, and Alex, we so appreciate your time and you taking this little bit of your day to talk with us and to give our audience a little bit of insight into what it's like trying to navigate your firm through this really weird time.
Well, thank you very much, and I enjoy the opportunity to be here today and to be able to just share any wisdom or information that I may have that may just help someone during this difficult time.
And if anybody, I'll go ahead and tell y'all too at the top, if y'all have any questions for Mr. Shunnarah that could be helpful to you or your business, please let us know in the comments. I will be looking down and monitoring them and feeding them to him as we get it. So, Alex, let's first talk about how there's businesses that have been differentiated into essential and non-essential. There are problems for business owners on each side of the spectrum. So if you're non-essential and if your business has been closed during this time, what is that like? You've had a firm for 18 years. You've been operating as a business owner for almost 2 decades. So you have some experience in this and some experience in economies that are not always great. So what advice do you have for those business owners who are struggling and or had to shut their doors during this time?
Well, I tell you, it's very difficult because you have a lot of different non-essential businesses, and just while we're here talking, I understand that the state had to decide what was essential and what was non-essential, and unfortunately, this virus has been very difficult because it has obviously hurt a lot of businesses that were non-essential, but I think the most important thing that a non-essential business can do is, depending on the circumstances, is you've just got to think outside the box. You've got to be innovative. You've got to not break any of the rules, that the government has put in place, but you've got to prepare yourself. And I think, say you're a restaurant or you're a hairdresser or someone like that. I mean, as a hairdresser, you can't go to someone's house, but you can obviously make sure that you're calling all your clients. You've got a couple of hundred clients in your book. You call them every day. You're staying in touch with them. So when we come out of this thing, and we will come out of this thing, it looks like, thank God, if you're watching the news every day, it looks like it may be a little bit sooner than better that the economy may open, that you're just ready to go full blast because we've already taken such a hit.
And that's that's good advice for those people, like you said, like the hairdressers of the world my hairdresser is Vital. I know you love yours too. And we want to keep those people in business, but we can't do it right now because of safety matters and legal issues and with the state telling us not to. But it sounds like you're advising those people to keep in touch with their normal customer base and keep that relationship going.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of friends in the restaurant business, and to be honest with you, they've reached out to me and it's like, Alex, what should I do? Everybody's kind of reaching out to each other. And I was like, look, you have a great restaurant. You have a great business. People have been your business was so good that they're coming to you. Believe it or not, at this moment, you've got to go to them. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to call them. You have to say, hey, I know your wife is tired of cooking. I can prepare you a meal. All your employees that work for you, they have a bunch of friends. And if everyone in that restaurant, that whole group of people will reach out through social media or just picking up the phone, I just truly believe that you have to go to the consumer instead of the consumer coming to you. And it'll make a world of difference because if every single person somehow generated a couple of $100s for a small business, that's the difference between maybe filing bankruptcy or making it through this difficult time because every dollar counts.
This is definitely a time to be proactive and not slack off, not say, oh, I have a non-essential business, I'm closed, I can lay on the couch for a while. Sounds like you're really saying that people need to don't use this as a time to sit back and wait to see what happens. You got to make it happen.
100%. I mean, look, I have a great work ethic anyway, and I love to work. I mean, I love what I'm doing, but where you're normally supposed to work 40 hours a week, I mean, we're in a pandemic. So if you want to save your business, it is the most important thing. I mean, you need to work 80 hours a week. You have to do everything in your power to make sure that your business that you've worked so hard for so long will be okay when we get out of this thing in hopefully, and then maybe another month at the most.
Right. And my dogs obviously want to participate in the interview. And so apologies to all y'all. Alex, also, I know you have dogs, and I'm sure they love to, at the most inopportune moments, let themselves be heard. So let's shift gears and talk about some of these businesses that are essential. There are a lot of businesses that are staying open and providing those services that all of us really need at this time. But they have to do it safely. We have to make sure that those people are not putting themselves at an unnecessary risk where they're getting too close to other people, where they are coming in contact maybe with other germs and bringing them home. And also some of these essential businesses, yeah, they're open, but they could still be really financially struggling too.
Yeah, there's no doubt, so we'll take us, for example, we're a law firm, we're deemed essential, but it's been very difficult on us too. We only can have 10, we run a skeleton crew. There's only 10 people that can come in. We typically have 100 people in our headquarters. I mean, today there's probably 5 or 6 people here, but thank God with technology and the way that we're speaking today, we were able to quickly make sure that everyone was working remotely, and so we could continue to conduct business. But there are a lot of challenges for all these essential places, the grocery stores. I think the things that people are not worried about, everybody say the grocery stores are just doing great. And it has been good for them in a business standpoint. But they've got tremendous liability too. I mean, there could be a situation where, their workers contract the coronavirus. That could potentially be a workers' compensation claim. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we're facing as an essential business that you typically don't think of. How to handle the mail. You don't even have time to retrain your employees. Making safe it's a safe workplace environment. And it is stressful times, but I think if everyone would just key in on an essential business, on what they have to do, I think they'll be okay.
It's funny you say that because it's so true. We're all trying to learn this remote work world, and even a lot of us who are tech savvy, this is still a whole new world. I know even at AL.com we're doing these different video meetings, and there's inevitably every day somebody that's like, I don't know how to unmute my phone, or they're talking and we know that they're muted. This is just a learning curve that everybody's trying to get used to.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. If there's anything that may come out of this coronavirus that may be good, is the fact that we can conduct business to some degree, virtually now. The court systems, obviously that's the business I'm in, where we've had, hearings with the judge where he was just sitting across from us like this, or doing a mediation or a deposition or talking to clients. And I think some of that will continue, moving forward.
Right.
But I think
it seems like a lot of bosses too are kind of realizing, well, this person who maybe asked to work from home before and I didn't want them to, well, now maybe I see that they can work from home, and this could definitely change our business kind of landscape going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and there's going to be some societal norms. I went back and I was reading about the Spanish flu pandemic in 1919, and it took about 2 to 3 years for people to come out of where they were. And there will be some changes, and they should be good changes. It should be progression, to be honest with you.
Right. Somebody in the comments was talking, kind of echoing what we said about supporting local businesses and small restaurants, takeout, things like that. So I have to ask you, what is your favorite small business or restaurant that you've been getting takeout from, that you've been supporting? What have you been doing on that front?
Well, we've been mixing it up. I mean, we've done the full moon barbecues, and we've done, the Jersey Mikes. We've done just the typical ones, not Bottegas, but the typical nicer restaurants that we've been going and eating. We've kind of not called them. We should have called them, but we've been just getting the pretty quick lunches.
Right. I know that I think we've all been doing that, and especially if you're like me and you're really tired of going to the grocery store, those takeouts are a wonderful thing.
Well, we typically cater, when we're full. Before the pandemic, we would cater lunch in here at headquarters once a week from every different restaurant to try to spread it out. But when you've got 5 or 6 people here, it hasn't been the same.
I mean, I understand that. I could probably at this point eat that much 4 or 5 people. So if you need help on that, I've got you, Alex. I can help you.
Thank you.
And something that we've had a lot of people asking about too, shifting gears from the businesses, are about the stimulus money that people are getting and about loans that small businesses can apply for. What advice do you have for businesses, or just for the average person who is getting that stimulus money, that unemployment money, or businesses that are applying for these small business loans to get them through this, this downturn?
I mean, first of all, look, this is the greatest thing ever. I'd like to applaud our government for stepping up immediately and having the stimulus plan. So if you're a small business, if you're 500 people or less, you need to immediately call your accountant and, reach out to your bank and apply for the PPA loan. There's also grants that you can apply to. There's also the small business loans that you can apply for. But I think this is a time where, and unfortunately, it's the opposite of stimulating the economy. I think you have to play a little defense right now. This is a time where you have to really sit back and you have to be very smart with your money. And I'm sure the public is doing that. And it's a time of, purchasing things we need and not purchasing things that we want. And you have to be very conservative because I think the pandemic has shown us that we're all vulnerable. I mean, nobody anticipated anything like this. Nobody could even foresee anything like this. This invisible, we can't see it, but it's just affecting. And not only did it affect the United States, but the entire world. And I do think that, unfortunately, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I think that we're going to feel this for a while.
Right. And that's, you have an empire of a business, and you have a lot of different offices and therefore a lot of employees. Now, I know a lot of them are working from home that we talked about, but how are you keeping all of these workers motivated? There's a lot of people who, even if they are still working, they're worried about their lives. Maybe they're having to do homeschooling for their children. They're having to keep food on their table, whether that means time-wise cooking. They might have other financial worries. How are you just mentally keeping all of your employees going?
Well, look, we've been very fortunate because of the PPA loans. We have not had to lay anybody off, and I'm very proud of the fact that we haven't had any layoffs and that we are continuing to do business. We were very fortunate because of being able to work remotely that we could continue, and obviously being an essential business, those were 2 blessings. But in terms of being motivated, look, we're doing Zoom meetings once a week. And as the owner of the firm, I am the one that's constantly motivating people, telling them that we're here, things are going to be okay, we're going to get through this. But look, I'm normal too. Look, the first couple of weeks, I'll be honest with you, I was very concerned because it was the fear of the unknown. And I think people are now being a little bit more comfortable with this pandemic and COVID because we see that the curve is flattening and it's not killing everyone, and private enterprise and everyone has jumped in to try to find the vaccine and the therapies. So I'm feeling much, much better where we're headed, and I feel much, much better if this were to ever happen again, that we would be much more prepared for it this time.
And you talk about kind of that curve flattening a little bit, and also we've gotten, this is week 5, at least for me, of working from home. We're getting closer to talking about reopening and that new normal that we're going to have. Now, like we said earlier, this might not be normal that we're used to. It might be a new normal. But what can businesses do? What are you doing for your business to prepare for that bounce back?
Well, what we're doing is, look, we personally need the economy to open because, we represent people who are injured, to be honest with you. And, so when everyone's sitting at home, people are not getting hurt on the job. They're not getting hurt on the roadways. So our business will be affected in the future. We have a lot of clients, and so we have plenty of work to do in the meantime on the cases that we had. But I would encourage everyone to just be ready. So when the regulations start to unwind, that's not when you need to start getting ready to go. You need to be ready on day one and anticipate that it's coming. And if you watch the news, I was watching the Arkansas governor last night. He was one of the governors who didn't shut the state down. And he's, I think he said, May 1, he's going to open up Arkansas. Now, I don't know what Governor Riley's going to do here in Alabama. And I know it's just this huge thing. You don't want to lose one human life, but at the same time, we've talked about it. You can't shut the economy down forever because that will destroy a whole generation economically. And the fallout of that, you're going to have a lot of mental health issues, divorces, crimes, not as bad as a death, but you are going to ruin some lives that way. And, thank God I'm not the one that has to make that decision. But I do pray that the leaders that we have in place will make the right decisions for the public.
Right. And it's, it's important to note here that Governor Ivey has not announced any sort of plan on reopening. We are monitoring that. We will keep you updated on AL.com regarding any statements or any plans that Governor Ivey has, but we do not have those yet. So we've got a lot of questions about different stimulus things. Roxanne is asking some. Susan, we do have those answers for you in another video, and with some people that are experts on stimulus money with actual, the websites you can go to and everything. We'll link those for you. And I do have some people we have to talk about that are missing seeing some of your billboards.
Right. Well, thank you. Our billboards are still there. I don't know how many people are seeing them this month, but they're still there. Obviously, the billboard companies, just like everyone else, they had to, step aside and shut down and protect their workers. So, but hopefully it'll open back up and people can get back to the beach and start to live a normal life and, start counting some billboards again for me.
Right, that is, we all got to have our beach road trip game. Question right. We got from Chris. His question here is how, a lot of people are trying to use this time to find new hobbies, to find new kind of side hustles, as we call them, or side gigs. What is your advice for somebody in a kind of millennial generation about how to develop a side gig, how to get some ideas going for a side job during this time? Maybe doing things from home, maybe opening your own website or things like that. Is this a good time to do that?
No, I tell you, you've got to have an entrepreneurial spirit. But I would think, honestly, that whatever you're good at or whatever your passion is, I think pretty much everything is sold these days online. Now, I understand we have this restrictions, but something as simple as a landing page and some type of service that you may offer someone, if it's just coaching them through a hard time. Anything that would help keep you busy and at the same time produce some income to offset the income that you have lost. And everyone on the world is online right now. I think online I read that it's up 70%. It's crazy.
I believe it. I mean, you've got people that are, I know, having slower internet connections because there's so many people on their block or at home on that typically are at work or school that aren't on. Another question we had was, how is what would you say personally would be the best way for somebody to use that extra stimulus money that's coming in? If they maybe are lucky and still have their job and they, should they put that into savings? Should they keep that on the table and go ahead and buy extra groceries, etc.? Or for somebody who maybe has lost their job, what do you suggest with that? And also about, any unemployment money?
I think what this pandemic taught us, and I don't want to preach, I've been very fortunate and very blessed in my business, but, there's a reason that saying was that you need to save for a rainy day. And I know that's a simple saying, But if the pandemic has taught us anything, you know, you need 3 or 4 months typically saved up to meet your essential bills. So, you know, in regards to savings, if that stimulus money was just money that needed to go towards that 3-month mark or 4-month mark, that's what I would do with that money first and foremost. Now, if you had that much money saved up already, then it was just, you know, just making a decision. I don't think we're going to run out of groceries. That's not going to be an issue. And I don't think this is, you know, it's a good time to invest a little bit if you had some really extra money. I mean, you know, obviously the stock market has been beat down, you know, and I know that's, you know, a little bit different, but I can promise you there's going to be a lot of opportunities that will come out of this pandemic. And I think in some ways, I think it has leveled the playing field. So where you had, like, depending from a business standpoint, depending where you were, say you were in the lawn maintenance business. I think that a pandemic like this may hurt some of the bigger companies also, so that a small man who just started out as a lawn maintenance person could get a lot of customers and a lot of clientele because maybe they ignored them. Maybe they didn't go above and beyond during this time, like we had mentioned earlier about reaching out to their clients, keeping the connections, doing all the little things. So I think it's going to be almost fair game when we come out of this thing. So I'm optimistic.
Like you said earlier, this is that time to put in those extra hours, put that nose to the grindstone and really get your business where you want it to be when we come out of this. I know that you started off, you started your firm 18 years ago as a one-person band, so you have experience with that. Some people asking again about stimulus questions. We will get those to you. We have some of those linked up before. Did see one, Teresa. I'll go ahead and answer. You asked about recipient Social Security getting their stimulus checks. We have a story on that about if you need to file a simple return, but I do know some stimulus checks went out today. Do you have anything you want to offer on that, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to, you know, the stimulus plan, if someone is, like you said, if someone is concerned about or have any questions, I mean, it's all online. But, you know, if you go to the websites regarding if you're looking for the $1,200, if you're looking for the loans, if you're looking for the Small Business Administration, I mean, the information is out there. All you have to do is just go to Google, just search that one term or two terms, and there'll be more information than you need.
Julie is talking about how a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck and don't have money to save for times like this. Do you have any advice for those type of people in that situation?
Well, yes. I mean, and that's unfortunate. I mean, that is where you're in a very bad situation, because if you're living paycheck to paycheck and this pandemic hit and there's no income coming in, I know it has affected a lot of people. I mean, that's when you reach out to your local churches. You really find out who your real friends are in times like this. You've got the food banks, and there are a lot of good people on this earth that will help people during times like this. Look, we've helped a lot of people. I've had more calls in the last month. You would think it's Christmas time again, because we get a lot of calls at Christmas time. But if anyone needs help, you know, we're also willing to help. It just depends. You know, you can't help the whole world, but we're doing everything that we can to help as many people as we can also.
I got two more questions for you. One, we know that you have children, and their schools, I'm sure, are closed. So what is it like having to have multiple children at home, make sure they get their homework done, make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, and also juggle running a business?
Well, I tell you, I appreciate you asking about the girls. I've got 3 daughters. One of them's a birthday girl, so maybe I could shout out happy birthday, Olivia. She's 11 years old today.
Olivia. I cannot believe.
She is my tax baby. She was born April 15th, and my other daughter had a birthday on the 12th. So we have 3 daughters in the house, and it is wide open, and they are just got all this energy and don't know what to do with it. And they're driving their mother crazy. But I'm doing my very best to do my part. But I tell you, the one good thing that has come out of this, and I've seen so much stuff on like YouTube and all these different things, is everybody's gotten much, much closer to their families. The ones who are not killing each other, that is.
Good point there. Good point. I know you have a teenager, so I'm sure dealing with teenagers during this can be difficult. I lied to you. I told you I had two more. Now I really have two more. Christina just asked, and since you deal with SSI claims a lot, I thought you might be interested in answering this. And if you don't have the answer, we will try to get it for you, Christina. She says, if you get both SSI and SSA, do you need to fill out a simple tax return to get your stimulus money?
To be careful, I would fill it out. I don't think that you have to, because they have all your information and they're mailing the stimulus money. But we have encouraged people to get online and just to make sure, there's been some people who have moved. There's been some people who were concerned, come from different states. But it's just a simple form just to let them know exactly where you are. Sometimes they need to have your bank account number. And for the people that don't have the bank account number, they're going to actually mail the checks to you. So those are coming probably a month later.
Yeah, we know that the paper checks are going to take a little bit longer just because of the nature of putting a piece of paper in the mail and having to follow that whole train. We got several people giving a shout out to Olivia for happy birthday, so you will have to pass on our happy birthday wishes here from AL.com and from our viewers. Last question, and I see that you have a pin on your lapel. I can't tell. Yeah. I know you're a Falcons fan, so I'm not sure if it's the Falcons logo or if it looks like kind of a 7. So you have to answer that before I let you go.
Okay, well, thank you. Actually, it is a 7. It may look like a Falcon because I am a huge Falcons fan. We're still recovering from the Super Bowl 3 or 4 years ago, but this stands for the 7th Amendment. So, of course, everyone's very familiar with the Second Amendment here in Alabama, and myself included, the right to bear arms. But this is the right to a jury trial, which I think is very important. And it's been a great conversation piece. I wear it around all the time. And when people ask about it, I just want to protect our right as citizens to be able to win, and if necessary, to be judged by a jury of your peers.
And this is definitely a time where that is a little bit different. Things in the legal system are taking a little bit of a different turn with teleconferencing and other things. We might have to rope you back in, Alex, for a few minutes later to talk about that. But we have a great conversation today. I know that you are a busy man, and we so appreciate you giving us half an hour of your time. So, Alex, thank you so much again. And any parting words for our audience?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I really have enjoyed our time together. And I would like to encourage everyone to stay strong and understand that we honestly are going to get through this. It is a difficult time. It's something that we've never seen, but biblically speaking, it's just a season, and this season too shall pass.
Good advice here from Mr. Alexander Shunnarah. We appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. And we will see you tomorrow, where we will talk to Dr. Eric Mackey, State Superintendent, and we will talk about your schools and what's happening there. So we appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.